Well, the Civil Aviation Minister is looking at policy change to reduce financial liabilities and generate revenue. A series of price control measures to reduce the liabilities burden that will also benefit airline operators and infrastructure facilities are in the pipeline. Yes, more.
15 days into the new government and the Civil Aviation Ministry is in action. Airline companies have been asked to buy fuel directly from oil companies to reduce the burden of fuel imports. This will also reduce the operational expenses on customs and countervailing duties. The Finance Ministry has been requested to clear levying of a uniform tax on jet fuel as against a variable VAT ranging from 4% to 30% depending on state sales taxes. The Ministry has requested clearance from the Prime Minister for airlines to fly on all routes, domestic and international, immediately after their approval. The move promises good tax returns out of increased operation. 24 airports are to have new air cargo terminals. Domestic cargo terminals are to be developed across the country. As a first step, the ministry had requested clearance from the Prime Minister for new airlines to operate on international circuits from the date of their approval. This is against the previous policy of them having to wait for 5 years before they could operate on international circuits.
In the aviation industry, we have to have a very cautious approach. The infrastructure of that airline needs to be examined, whether they can support such an international or a foreign operation.
On the cargo terminals development front, the facilities are already underway at Coimbatore and Trichy. The ministry plans to generate revenue through cargo transfer in major airports in Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka and few other states.
They are, specialized general aviation airports. They are FBOs. Now in India, this is not there. We would like the government to look at a roadmap to build up the general aviation infrastructure, which will give the boost to the growth of general aviation. And lastly, I would say rationalization of taxes.
Air cargo represents about 10% of the airline industry's revenue and it contributes 35% of revenue value on international goods transported by air. The ministry is hopeful that these terminals will catch up with the demand for cargo transport at both domestic and international levels in the next 10 years.
Civil Aviation Ministry's intentions are very clear. It wants to cut down the losses and it wants to maintain the balance sheet so that in the next budget, the ministry can get some good money to spend on the infrastructure developments across the airports. With camera person Sudhanshu from Delhi, Rajkamal Rao, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, in a bid to take forward stalled economic reforms, the new